what's going on?
What up, gang?
Somebody help me!
You're finally awake. If you were to ask 10 of my friends and family who my favorite artist/musician is, 9 of them will probably tell you Daniel Johnston. Ricky loves Daniel Johnston. I even went to his funeral back when he died in 2019. Why are we talking about Daniel today? Well, you see, the track list for the new Joker movie has leaked online, and the movie's self-proclaimed, quote, jukebox musical, unquote, which means the songs they'll be hooting and hollering to will be throwbacks and licensed. Imagine my shock when I see the very last song, True Love Will Find You in the End. That's a Daniel Johnston song, and I have mixed feelings about that. On one hand, I'm glad Daniel's getting some limelight this year. His art was featured in the background of Beetlejuice 2, and now one of his songs will be prominently, I guess, featured in Joker Folie à Deux. Did I say that right? I just don't know how to feel about his music being associated with the Joker character. Yes, Daniel did have issues with mental health. Jeremiah the Innocent, which was one of his characters, the frog character that was featured on the album art of Hi, How Are You, even became synonymous with mental health awareness. But do we really need to tie all of this to the Joker, baby? Really though, this video is just me singing my praises for my child before he goes off to college. Dan was the subject of a 2006 documentary called The Devil and Daniel Johnston, and I'm going to be using clips from that documentary, but this video isn't on the movie, but rather on the man himself. So let me ask you a question right quick. Who is Daniel Johnston? Born in 1961, Daniel was the youngest of 5 children to Bill and Mabel of New Cumberland, West Virginia. The Johnstons were like many families in the Bible Belt of the 1960s, regularly going to church on Sundays and giving 10% of their earnings as tithings. But even from a young age, Daniel was a little rebel guy. He'd often make videos mocking the family's values, most of which was aimed at his mama. In addition to the films he'd make, Daniel also had a taste for the arts. He would often make drawings, many of which featured an eyeball in some capacity. But Daniel ultimately found himself as a student of the arts in which he'd fulfill his musical destiny and record his first album, Songs of Pain, in 1980. And it sounded like shit. Don't get me wrong, Daniel's music is deeply emotional and it's well composed, but all of it's drowned out by the fact that it was recorded solely on a Sanyo cassette recorder, which is basically the standard tape recorder at the time. And I personally love Songs of Pain, but the average music enjoyer will almost always be turned off by the grating sound quality. As an art student at Kent State University in East Liverpool, Ohio, Daniel meets a campus librarian named Lori.
So beautiful, beyond compare. The girl of my dreams. So wonderful, so beautiful. And I had her boots.
He immediately becomes smitten with Lori, and she becomes his artistic muse, so to speak, and will remain so until Dan's dying day. Daniel wrote many songs about the librarian, but she went on to marry a mortician. While most people would be heartbroken at the thought of their love marrying another, Daniel was all about it, because, well, it gave him fuel for his art. Not to mention, the thought of his love being taken away by an undertaker just worked so well in his lore. During school, Daniel got a job at McDonald's where he'd give out his album on cassette tapes to McDonald's customers.
I work at McDonald's and went for my new album, Hi, How Are You? Yeah. And it's an old album, but I'll get a chance to play a bit into it. Okay, right.
This method of distribution got his name around, and later on, when he moved to Austin, Texas, the local music scene quickly caught on to Daniel. He even got so popular that he managed to be featured on MTV's The Cutting Edge, which was shooting a program in town at the time. The Cutting Edge was MTV's show that featured up-and-coming performers. It's here where he performed the song I Live My Broken Dreams, which isn't listed on any of Dan's albums, but nonetheless, it's a banger in my opinion.
When I was out in San Marcos a year ago today, they probably would have put me in a home. But I threw all my belongings into a garbage bag and out into the wilderness I did roam. My hopes lay shattered like a mirror on the floor. I see myself and I look really scattered, but I live my broken dream.
Daniel was on the up and up, but unfortunately, shit hits the fan when Dan started dropping acid.
I thought there was nowhere to go. I thought the military takeover was going to happen over Christmas time, but it didn't. You know what I mean? I knew I saw. I went inside the building, the UT. I saw the things, the programming, the confusion, the Coca-Cola, the Snickers, all the candy and everything being used as a drug, confusion, mind control, spiritualism, cultural upheaval, flip. Man, yes, it's really happening. They were really doing it, man. I'm talking, if you don't know about it, I'm talking like Nazi Germany. Flip. I don't know who's doing it, man, but it's everything, the media and everything, man. The songs, the things that they're saying. The Top 40 radio, man. Mind control, you know what I mean?
Good evening, sir. We're Park County detectives. We were just wondering if we could take a quick look around your house, Mr.
Dan was a manic depressive, which is 1980s lingo for having bipolar disorder.
My name's Daniel Johnston. This is the name of my tape. It's Hi, How Are You? And I was having a nervous breakdown when I recorded it.
That wasn't that big of a problem for Daniel, though. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Dan's manic episodes would often fuel heavy musical inspiration, and then the depressive episodes that followed were his means of recharging. The introduction to LSD, however, unlocked a bout of schizophrenia that had been lying dormant in Daniel. He quickly lost his sense of self and became obsessed with the devil.
It's like true, it's science fiction and it's the new supernatural age. You know, it spoke of in Revelations, the number 9, the Beatles song, number 9.
Do not get that number, 666. Do not get 666 imprinted on your hand.
I had never really heard him talk about the devil before, and he became so obsessed that it was all he could talk about.
You must not give in to the devil, ladies and gentlemen.
They might be mounting them up around. Evil, ladies and gentlemen. Evil.
It's better to die, ladies and gentlemen, and live forever. Evil.
Because he was losing it.
Number 9. I used to be Daniel Johnston.
Who are you now?
I don't know.
The Satan thing wasn't really that out of left field, considering the intensity of his Christian upbringing, but it was enough of a hindrance that it landed Daniel in the loony bin. The mental hospital saga of Daniel Johnston did provide lore to explore in his music, but this was short-lived due to the antipsychotic meds he was prescribed.
What did you feel like?
Groggy.
You wake up late?
Yeah. I lay in bed, just get the guts to get out.
Is it a lot harder to write songs now?
Yes, because I'm not sure I do. I couldn't write a song if I tried. I couldn't write a song if I tried. Something inside it gone up and died, and I couldn't write a song if I tried.
His music, meanwhile, was popping off more than ever, so after he got out of the mental hospital, he'd play sold-out shows, one of which was South by Southwest Music Festival in 1990 in Austin, Texas. Since Dan felt his medication hindered his music ability, he secretly faked taking them so he could feel more energetic while performing. Dan's South by Southwest performance ended with standing ovations, but his joy would be short-lived. Dan's father, Bill, was a pilot, and Bill flew Dan and himself to Austin from their home in West Virginia in their own plane, and they were flying back home when Daniel had a psychotic break. He pulled the key out of ignition and tossed it overboard, leaving the in-flight airplane powerless.
Took the key out, turned the engine off, threw the key out the window. Well, he grabbed the controls, took the plane away from me. He's stronger than me. We were finally going straight up and then straight down. But he kind of let go in time for me to get it out of the swim. Up and down there by trees. But I did training on ditching in trees, so I didn't stall it. I flew it into the trees between two big ones.
Daniel would later explain the experience as thinking he was Casper the Friendly Ghost. Casper was a comic book character that Dan featured in a lot of his music, specifically the track called Casper the Friendly Ghost, which was featured on his Yip Jump music of 1983. But this airplane episode led to another string of stays at the loony bin, and Daniel ended up living the rest of his life heavily medicated. Dan did see success in life, however. While he was in the hospital after the plane crash, Kurt Cobain wore his shirt at the MTV Video Music Awards, which garnered a lot of attention towards his art and music. And then there was the documentary that released in 2006. While Dan did die of a heart attack, he was staying in the hospital just the day prior to his death for kidney problems. You see, kidney problems are an inevitability when you spend upwards of 30 years on lithium-based psych medication.